I'm UWEB's electric generation manager, so that is the division that manages all of our owned generating resources, including all of our hydro facilities on the McKenzie River. Many of you here tonight I have met. I really appreciate you coming out and continuing to share your thoughts with us as we move through some really challenging issues in the McKenzie Basin related to hydro. We had a great discussion at our table. I will say we did not exactly follow directions in terms of discussing the resiliency portion. But I'm really happy with what we did talk about. The table that I had the pleasure to sit with, most of these folks live around Walterville, so there were a lot of questions around how the Walterville facility works, what the issues are, what it would take to get it fixed, what are the unknowns that we have, and then of course a lot of questions around what happens either if we can't fix it or what happens at the end of this license term. So we spent a lot of time talking about some pretty technical things around how the project works and the current issues that we're facing. Very robust discussion, so thank you all for those questions. A couple of specific things, a lot of concern over the fate of the Walterville Canal, especially after having seen what feels like the path that Lieberg went down a number of years ago. And so wanted to acknowledge that's a fear, and it's an understandable fear for folks. Impacts to the groundwater table, because the Walterville Canal specifically is dewatered, so that's been brought up a couple of times already, so impacts potentially to wells, to ponds on folks' land. A lot of questions around the tie between Lieberg and Walterville. So how are they tied both physically, but also from a licensing perspective or from a regulatory perspective? And so that was a really good discussion. Concerns, again, a lot of this has been said already about the loss of recreation opportunities, both along Walterville Pond came up. I think everyone at the table remembers when Walterville Pond was watered. It has been dewatered now for probably 10 years or so. I can't remember exactly the year, but the loss that was felt by the community, and then considering that the loss of Lieberg Lake will have a similar feeling of loss for folks, and how we continue to provide, or how will we continue to provide recreational opportunities. A lot of discussion around FERC, Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and the requirements that are imposed upon UWEB as an owner and operator of hydro facilities from a dam safety perspective specifically. So we had some good discussion about that related to seismic and flood. Let's see. Did I miss anything specific on Walterville? Got some other? Okay, great. Relative to Lieberg, we actually didn't talk a lot about the transportation aspect, but we did talk a fair bit around impacts to land and what restoration looks like. That's come up from a couple of other tables, but also specific impacts to individual property owners and public lands and what will be done with them. So very good questions there. Did I miss anything else on Lieberg? I want to make sure okay. And then we did move on to a discussion about smart meters, and specifically when and how those will be implemented up here, fees that might be associated with it, and what the options for opt-out are going to be. There was some concern at the table around privacy and what data is going to be collected, and a desire for optionality with the meters. So for example, the ability to turn some functions on, but not all. And we had some discussion around some other things that have already been said, but I think I'll stop there and hand it over to Jeremy.